Hey guys, it's Carrie and I am back with another travel talk video, and today I'm going to be talking about travel safety, at least from things that I have learned about. Now again, there's so many things to do and to look at. I don't have all the answers. I probably have this many of them compared to what is out there, but I do want to share with you guys some of the things that I have learned about being safe, keeping your money safe, and things of that nature. So I have a lot of notes right here, and I have something I'm going to show you. I was going to bring my map out as to do like a little prop, but I forgot that, so we'll just pretend today. So one of the first things that you need to do, this is my opinion, I think it's a good piece of information though, before you go on your trip, you're going to need to make some copies of your passport, potentially a copy of your driver's license, but passport's more important, and copies of your travel itinerary. And what you're going to do with these copies, you're going to need more than one. The first thing that you're going to do is give them to your emergency contact, or give them to somebody so they will have them. Potentially, unless you're going to take Uber to the airport, if you're getting somebody to drive you to the airport, and that's a person that you trust, you're going to give them a copy of your passport. This needs to be somebody that you trust, and you're going to give them like a copy of all of your travel itinerary, your airline tickets, but the flight you're on, the flight numbers, when you're leaving, when you're getting there, when you're coming back. Give them a copy. If you're staying at a hotel, give them a copy of the hotel thing so they'll know where you're staying at, like the phone number to it. If you're going on a cruise, make sure they know which cruise line you're going on, which ship you're going to be on, what ports they're going to be on, what days they're going to be on. It's just, hopefully you'll never ever need it, but it's just good information to give somebody else. So you're going to do that and give that to that person. Just put it like in a little folder and say, I hope you don't need it, but here is what it is. If something were to happen that you need to get into contact with me, or if something happens to me, heaven forbid, or anybody else for that matter, just kind of hit me. They need to know potentially where you are on what day. If unfortunately, like, I hate to say this, I don't even want to put it out there in the universe, but there is a lot of evil in this world, and if there's a potential terrorist attack or event, they will know where you are, and hopefully know that you're safe, because that it won't even happen. Let's just say it's not going to happen, but I'm going to stop talking about that right now. But and so also you're going to need to make sure they have your phone number, which I'm assuming they would have anyway, but so you're going to give that to that person. Then with your second copy of your passport, you're going to keep that yourself, but you're going to store it somewhere else other than where you have your actual passport. Put them in different locations. And if you want to even be over the top with this, get another copy for yourself. So like one you may want to put in your suitcase, which can be used for twofold information. One, that's where you're keeping it, and one, if they lose your suitcase, they got your name and information in there. I'm not sure how much information you want to make available of that to everybody, but keep it there. So what I like to do is keep my actual passport in a safe place. Then I'm going to keep my copy somewhere else. And I don't know, I think I generally just take one copy with me, but you may want to do two copies. And if you're traveling with a group, and it's a close-knit group, and there's like a travel leader, you may want to give a copy of it to that travel leader. And I think that depends on the age range of the group that's going. So if it were, say, high school students, definitely if you're a parent and your child is going, make sure that travel manager has a copy of your child's passport as well as the child. We all know teenagers, we all were at one time ourselves, if you're not already, right now, can be irresponsible, and hopefully that if they are going on a trip like this, they would be more responsible. But just keep that in mind, that that tour manager may need to have a copy of that as well. So that's what you're going to do. And so then one other thing that I would suggest to keep on your person, you know who your emergency contact is, but if something happens to you everybody else around you may not know. So what I plan on doing is, with a copy of my passport, keeping my emergency contacts information, and like, please call in case of emergency, just in case something were to happen to me, that they can reach back to my emergency contacts, which in my case would be my parents, but it could be for you, it could be a coworker, it could be a sibling, it could be your neighbor, just somebody. This is somebody that you really need to trust, that if I give you my passport information, you're not going to steal it and make a fake identity with it. That's what I'm getting at. So please let it be a person that you trust. But keep your, like, just on a piece of paper, say, that, or maybe in a little notebook, that if something were to happen to you and you can't speak, that and I know this is depressing to talk about this, but I think it needs to be put out there, that say, please call in case of emergency, and put the name down. And another thing you might want to do, I can't speak a foreign language, but you might want to do like Google Translate and type that in English, and then have it translate into whatever country you're going to, and maybe print that out and then put that in your little notebook or whatever, so that wherever you can go, they can read that as well and make it easier on everybody. If you're staying at a hotel, this is something I'm kind of hesitant about. I would, like, if you're going to be doing a lot of walking around and doing different excursions, I would say this is one I'm not sure that you can trust. Let me just get out what I'm saying. You might want to let the concierge know, or somebody at the front desk, and say, hey, I'm going on this particular excursion to go see this. I'm leaving at this time. I just wanted to let somebody know, if you're traveling by yourself. Now, with that being said, you don't know that person at the hotel, so that, you know, that also opens up some potential security risk as well. It just, I think you need to play that part by ear. But what I definitely would do at the hotel, ask the concierge, or ask the front hotel desk, like, say, I'm thinking about doing this excursion. Show them where you're going to go, what the address is you're going to leave from, and maybe ask them for directions or help you get a taxi. Something like that I think is good as well for safety. That way, if you get directions from that person, and I like to think that these people have background checks done, that they are reliable people, but you just never know. So be careful with the hotel staff. And be careful with what information you leave out in the hotel. If there's a room safe, I would say potentially utilize that, but also keep in mind there's probably extra keys, or they can get into those safes. So your stuff does have the ability to be picked over. It can happen anywhere in the world, not just in Europe. It can happen in the US. Just watch out for your stuff, especially anything that has your name and address and passport number on it, or driver's license number, you know, or credit card or debit card numbers. Just watch out for that stuff. Okay, another huge thing that you need to do is take different forms of currency, I guess you could say. That may not be the word I'm actually looking for. So what I mean by that, depending on where you are going, and you're going to take some of that country's money, or that, like, I'm going to Europe, and most of the places that I'm going to in Europe use the euro. So I'm taking several euros with me, several hundreds of euros with me, because I just feel safer that way. And what you're going to want to do is separate that cash into different places. And I do have something that it's very unattractive, and I have actually used it several times. This is a money belt right here. And so this thing is adjustable, which I need to readjust it, and you just wear it around your waist. It will hold a passport in it. It's large enough to do that. It's got two different zippered compartments, so the bigger one will hold your passport and cash, credit card, debit card, whatever you want to put in there, it will hold that. This is going to keep you safe from a pickpocket. Now, I don't know if this one has the technology in it, that, what are those things called, that they can, like, scan your information and get it off your credit cards. I may actually go back and look for something like that, because I don't think this has that technology built into it where it blocks those scanners. So that's something you may want to look at. But I keep if I'm going to be walking around and I don't want to leave information or money back into the hotel or back at, hotel or wherever, I'm going to keep the majority of my cash in the money belt, but not all of it. And I realize I am giving a lot of information out right here, but I will tell you, I'm also going on a cruise ship, so they have safes in those rooms. So I'm going to keep the money in different locations, I would say. And so but I'm not going to keep, like, if I have a certain idea that I'm going to go shopping and buy something, I'm going to know potentially how much I'm going to spend, and I'm not going to put that money in the money belt, because how are you going to get it out without showing anybody? You might need to say, oh, I need to go to the restroom and get it out. But if you just lift up your shirt right then and there, they're going to say, oh, you got the money there. So I'm going to keep some money in just different areas. Some people keep it in their socks. And so that's a place you can keep it, their shoes or socks, handbag, wallet, wherever you keep it. Just make sure that you're separating it out. So you may want to keep like a debit card in your money belt, and then another one in your wallet or handbag. I also love those little wristlets. I've used a Coach one for years, where I just keep a little bit in that, and I just hold on to it for dear life. And so it's safe there because it goes over my wrist. And in addition to that, I'm also kind of holding on to the strap. So spread your money out in multiple locations. That way, if you are pickpocketed, you still have other currencies elsewhere, and so you're not completely devastated. That is just the biggest piece of advice that I can give you. But I also think you should take cash and a card or 2 cards. Some people only want to take a card, a credit card or a debit card, whatever they prefer, and no cash whatsoever. I understand the ease of that, but what are you going to do if you're in Europe and you live in the United States and you're visiting and the magnetic strip on the back of that card dies on you? What are you going to do? So you're going to be in trouble. So I would say at least have cash and a minimum of 1 card in cash, but I would say 2 cards in cash, just to be safe. That's not to say that if you don't want to use a credit card, don't use it, use your cash, but just in case something happens, you've got that credit or debit card. And if you're somebody that's like, you know what, I don't want to deal with cash at all, at least get a couple of €100. I just think it's good, because not everybody, I don't know how the taxis, if they're going to take cards or not, and you may need to take taxis, it's good just to have some cash on you. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is keep the money in different locations and have different forms of monetary things to use. So best advice I can give you. Let's see. I would say wear a crossbody. If you're a lady or a man, whoever, if you're wearing a handbag, wear a crossbody bag. And I think the smaller that you can get that bag, or at least you don't want a huge one that you're going to be rummaging around in. Wear a small bag and keep your valuables maybe in that as well if you don't want to use the money belt. I like to take a backpack that I can put my camera in, that if I go shopping I can put what I've bought in the backpack. A water bottle, stuff like that. So I like using the backpack for that, but not necessarily to put my valuables in, even though the camera is valuable, but it's a bigger item. So I like to wear a crossbody handbag that's small, but yet that holds stuff that I need to quickly get out, you know, my passport, or unless I've got it in the money belt. It just depends. You will need your passport in some stores, so just be aware of that you might need to get that out. And so wear the crossbody bag and make sure, I would go, it's just safer for that, but also be aware that, be vigilant. And what I also like to do is if I'm wearing a jacket, or let's say I got a denim shirt over top of a t-shirt, I will put the crossbody bag on and then put the denim shirt or a long sleeve button down shirt or a jacket over that. Because there have been instances where somebody may be on like a moped or a motor scooter, and they will drive by and have a knife in their hand, and they may try to cut the strap on there and take off with it. Or they may attempt to cut the bottom of your bag and stuff is just going to fall out. Just be aware of that. And I think it would help from getting the strap cut if you're wearing something over it. So just a thought right there. Just do what you can. You want to go and have fun, but be safe as well. And whatever you do, don't sit your bag down and then start looking around and the bag just be open. I wouldn't even suggest sitting it down anywhere unless you're stopping to eat somewhere. Or if you do, like say you sit down and take a break and you got your backpack on, put it down by your feet, between your feet. And what I like to do, and I do this with different things with the backpack. If I'm just sitting down, let's say just people watching, and what I will do is wrap the strap of the handbag, of the like the backpack strap. I will put my foot through it and wrap it kind of like, so the strap is around my leg. And that way if somebody comes by, reaches down to pick it up, it's going to be on your leg and not come off. And also, if you're sitting down at a restaurant, don't put your bag on the back of your chair. I wouldn't even put it in the chair beside me or on the table. Now, if you're inside of a restaurant and you're eating inside, you're a little bit safer. If you're eating at an outdoor area, don't put it on top of the table. Definitely don't put it on the back of your chair. If you can work it where the chair beside you is blocked from other people, maybe there, but here is what I do. I keep the crossbody bag on me. I don't take it off. And with the backpack, when I'm sitting down, before I sit down, I will lift the chair up and wrap the backpack around the leg of the chair that I'm in. And don't lay your wallet or your passport or your money on the table, especially in an outdoor eating area. I've heard of a case where a lady laid her handbag, and this is somebody that I know a little bit. I don't know her very well, but I know who she is. I do know her in person. She was in another country. She laid, I don't know if it was her wallet or her handbag on top of on top of a table in an outdoor cafe. Somebody walked by, grabbed it. They had her passport, they had her currency, her cards, everything. You cannot trust anybody. Some people, I will tell you, are good people, and a lot of people are honest, and you can trust those people, but you don't know who they are. If you go, just assume you can't trust anybody. That's just the way to go. It's a sad thing to do, but that's just the way you need to think to keep yourself and your money and your passport safe. So another thing, before the age of selfies, a lot of people would want photos taken of them and their family, so they might hand their camera to somebody else. Now we just take our selfies, but I would not suggest just handing your camera to a random stranger and asking them to take a photo. They may run off with your camera and then you're going to lose your camera. Now, if you're with a tour group, you may ask a fellow person in that tour group to take your photo. Or if you're in a particular shop, you may ask the sales associate to take a photo. I think that's fine. But just out randomly, just don't ask a random stranger to take your photo or hand them your camera. They may run off with it. Another thing, if you're going to be shopping, which I'm planning on doing it, do not buy from vendors or from people that look like they can grab their stuff and take off running from the police if the police show up. Just don't do that. If it's a storefront, you should be safe, or if it's in an open air market but they've got booths set up, you should be safe from buying from them. But what I have seen many times in Europe, in different countries, Spain, Italy, those are my two major ones that I've been to. There will be these people walking around and they will have like something that looks like a sheet and there will be stuff in it. They're going to lay that sheet down and it's going to be full of handbags that have designer names on them, and they're going to sell these. That's illegal to buy in Europe. You do not want to get caught doing that. So also, even if it isn't a fake designer bag or something, it could be just something like a little gadget. It is not legal to purchase from those people. They have to have certain business license. I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but the key to keep in mind is if it looks like they can take off running from the cops, don't buy from them. I'm just checking my notes. Another thing is you're probably going to stand out as a tourist no matter what. But a good rule of thumb is to study your map before you go out and wander around the streets of whatever city you're in. Kind of have an idea. And this is where I get back to potentially asking the hotel concierge or the clerk at the hotel or somebody, kind of let them help you map things out. Say, I want to go here, here, and here, and study the map and get their directions. And then this is where I wish I would have brought my map, but we'll pretend this is a map. So I think if you could have a city map that this size would be pretty good, but if you have one of those ginormous maps and don't be walking around with a ginormous map and then walking with it in front of you, you're going to stand out, and that puts a target on your back for people that want to pickpocket you or give you bad information. Or if you do have a big map, I would say try to get it folded down to this size or maybe even this size. And so you're looking at something else. And also this is not going to really block my view so much if I'm walking around holding something this size as opposed to a big map. And if you do need to pull out that map, I would say stop walking. If you can find a place to sit down, study your map. Ask a store clerk if you're in a store. A lot of times they will know locations. A lot of times they speak English. So ask them and just get some advice from them, because I think most of the ones I've ever dealt with have been so nice. They've wanted to help people out. Never had any issue with people helping me with directions. I have had issues where they just didn't know where the place I wanted to go was, but and so, and then when in doubt, if you may just want to hop in a taxi. Just do that. Let's see. Okay. Oh, one of the last things that you can do. Now, some people are not going to want to do this, and I kind of get it. But what you can do is go on, if you're a United States citizen, I don't know what they do in other countries. They may have something similar, but go on the U.S. State Department's website, and you can register your trip with them. And this goes back to that original safety of letting your emergency contact know where you are and all your itinerary. What this is really good for is if something happens in a certain place and the U.S. government needs to get a hold of your family, this will help them out. Heaven forbid something happens, but it just makes it easier on everybody if something were to happen, that they can get a hold of your family quickly. But also, I know a lot of people like, I don't want the government in my business. I get that. But let me tell you, as an American citizen, traveling to other countries, if something were to happen to me, I would want the force of the United States looking for me. Not that I think that all of them would come and look for me. I know that's not going to happen, but I would like to know that my government is going to be looking for me because they know where I am. But I do understand, you know, like, hey, I don't want the government knowing we're in my business. I get that, but this little thing right here, I just feel good about that personally, that I'm like, hey, you know, my name is Karrie. I'm going to, you know, Spain, Italy, all these other places. This is my itinerary, and this is my emergency contact if something, heaven forbid, is going to happen. And I'm going to be doing a whole lot of praying. You guys, I believe in the power of prayer, and I'm going to pray every leg of my trip. I know my parents are going to be praying. I'm like, nothing's going to happen on this trip, but you always want to have that, you know, just in case. Let's be safe. Regardless of how much prayer you do, if you're stupid stuff's gonna happen to you. Okay, so just be safe. Excuse me, I've been talking a lot. I filmed a video before this one. One other thing is, I know there has been a lot of events that have happened, terrorist events, where people are using vehicles as a method of basically just killing people. And I don't know really how do you protect yourself from that, but just be vigilant about where you are walking. I don't know, you know, just be aware of what's going on, and maybe have a plan in your mind, like, just look around. I hate that we have to do this in this day and age, but when you walk out of your hotel or wherever you are, you're off your cruise ship, and you're walking around down a street, just look around and say, if there were somebody that's going to come flying down the street in a vehicle trying to kill as many people as possible, what is your idea to get out of that and keep yourself safe? Look to see if there's a store you could, if you heard something coming and you turn around, look, I don't know how much time you're going to have. Hopefully it will never ever happen again, but just plan for this. Say, I can jump into this store, and what are you going to do? Or you may be on the corner and you can step off really quickly into another street. Just look around, be aware of your surroundings, constantly have your head on a swivel, and just constantly look around, look for danger, but enjoy yourself as well. Another thing, I was going to end with that, but it just hit me. Another thing to be aware of, a lot of major, especially religious sites in Europe, a lot of times there's gypsies around there, and some of them you're going to be easily able to recognize them. I remember, I want to say I was in Florence or Rome before, and there was this lady dressed completely in white. She had her face painted white, and she even had her tongue painted white. I don't know what that was. Watch out for people like that. But there's also going to be other people that are going to try to trick you. For example, some gypsy, and that's what they call them. They may have other names, but that's what I've always heard them referred to. They may try to sell you a flower, and they're going to hand you the flower, and you may not want it. Do not grab that flower or whatever it is. They may hand you something else. And what's going to happen when they've got your attention by you reaching to take that item, somebody else is going to come by and try to pickpocket you. They work in teams. So I would suggest don't buy anything from, don't take something that somebody's trying to hand you unless it's in a store or a vendor that is trustworthy, that's a approved vendor. Don't do that just from some random stranger coming up trying to hand you something. Just be aware of that. Be aware of, getting into a specific vehicle. I typically don't use Uber. I've been in an Uber vehicle a couple times. I went one way and then came back, so 2 different Ubers. I was with somebody else. I felt safe, but I was in the United States. Not that things can happen in the United States too. I realize that. But this is my home country. This is the language that I speak. I feel a little bit safer. But I know that there's Uber in all kinds of countries. I will tell you, outside of the U.S., I feel safer in an approved taxi that I know there's probably, they have to meet certain requirements that they have to do. These drivers are hopefully vetted. I just feel a little bit safer outside the United States doing that. Use your own judgment about getting into a vehicle with someone. Potentially you can even use public transportation as well. Just be aware though, if you get on a train, there's pickpockets on there as well. So just protect yourself, have fun, but safety is your #1 important thing. So if you guys have any other tips, please leave them below. I'm sure there's millions of others below. I need to be aware of them myself, and then other people would be grateful for that information as well. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye, everybody.